Good day. I'm Michael Bender of the Center for Fiscal Equity, and this is a video with my remarks, or rather with my testimony to the Financial Services and General Government Appropriation Subcommittee for the FY23 budget. The first item was add funds to the Securities and Exchange Commission and direction in the general provisions section of the appropriation to investigate the extent to which Mr. Mulvaney's tenure as director of the Consumer Financial Protection Authority led to the current increase in the cost of oil futures contracts and with it the current inflation crisis. As an SSDI recipient, I have skin in this game, which has led me toward applying for and the state of Maryland to grant me federally funded food stamps. The world has plenty of available oil. What it does not have is an honest futures market. The Dodd-Frank reforms led to regulation of the New York Mercantile Exchange, especially the oil futures floor. The challenge for the current administration is to quietly restore these regulations, which I assume it is doing. If it can be managed, energy prices will decline rather than crash as they did in 2008, excuse me. When Congress made attempts at regulating oil futures trading, the balloon burst and traders had to cover their positions. The assets available to do this were mortgage-backed securities and credit default swaps. We all know where that led. In 2008, yes. Cryptocurrency stocks have declined in recent days. They may go back up or may stay down. Pension funds may be investing in such garbage through direct holdings or indirectly through exchange-traded funds will have a broad impact. As importantly, many households decided to spend at least some of their pandemic relief funds on this Ponzi scheme. The extent to which this has occurred should be investigated. The Department of Labor should have a part in this investigation and should receive reimbursable funding under this appropriation to do so. 3. Comments about the upcoming recession can be found in our standard attachments to Depression 2022. There'll be a link to the video and written comments in the chat. The section ends, read to who wants to bet on where the latest pool of junk is hiding. Now, the Dodd-Frank Act provides for liquidity when crashes such as the upcoming disaster occur. However, neither the law nor the Federal Reserve provide any relief to the renters, homeowners, and credit card customers whose debts are being purchased by the Federal Reserve and remarketed. In 2009, home values plummeted. Even borrowers such as my family, who did everything right except buying at the top of the market, found themselves unable to sell our homes. Bankruptcy and divorce followed. Job loss in the 2011 debt deal did not help matters either. Had the Federal Reserve or the Virginia Housing Development Authority marked these properties to market, what could have been called an economic depression would not have occurred. When the Fed marks bonds to market, M3 is reduced. The money vanishes in the same way it was created, with a keystroke. This also deflates the financial markets. Experience has shown that simply throwing money out the window of the central bank did nothing to improve the economy. Forgiving debt would have. Let us not repeat, or rather continue to repeat, the bad practices that left the economy in the doldrums. During the pandemic, the Federal Reserve had purchased bad paper, but without benefit to those whose debts were held in those bonds. This time around, credit card balances and back rent should be forgiven when the Federal Reserve buys the bonds that hold the debt. Loans should be written down, which would stop bondholders from benefiting from issuing bonds that should have never been issued in the first place. Renters of both commercial and residential property should be offered the chance to purchase their locations and homes with assistance from government-sponsored enterprises and with their paper replacing the debt paper that has been securitized in exchange-traded funds. EFTs may take a hit, but what was falsely sold as AAA paper would actually become what was sold, which is bad. Bad landlords, and Aaron Glantz demonstrates that Mr. Mnuchin and Mr. Ross are bad landlords. That's a reference to the Depression 2022 article, which includes a reference to Aaron Glantz's book called Home Wreckers. He demonstrates that Mr. Mnuchin and Mr. Ross truly are bad landlords, degrade properties so that the bonds that were issued for them to cash out are nowhere near the value at issue. So, you know, they basically put these things together, got a bond issue, and jumped out. Their LLCs may own the properties, but the LLCs are doing a bad job. In 2009, the United States aided and abetted those who created the crisis. We are currently repeating the mistake. When the inevitable crisis occurs again, doing the right thing will also be the right medicine for the economy. I mention this issue here so that the general provisions of this industry include these actions, and part of any bailout will require appropriated funds. In 2008, the bill passed with the promise that borrowers would be helped. Mr. Paulson lied. Let us act truthfully this time around. Scrolling down, and that is the extent of my testimony. I thank you very much for your kind attention. This testimony will be repeated in the CBO testimony also from this week. As normal, some of this text will be in the description, as well as links. And of course, you can comment, become a Patreon, support, subscribe, all those lovely things that YouTube allows me to ask you to do. Of course, I'm not insisting you do that if you're a government employee or staff member, then just please forward it. But if you're a member of the general public, your support would be greatly appreciated. Again, have a good day.